What's going on, guys? It's Greg here, aka NYPrepper. This video I'm going to do a before and after with the Readylift SST kit for my Chevy Silverado Trail Boss 2021. So this is a 2-inch lift kit. Basically just uses strut spacers and a taller lift block to raise the factory lift from 2 inches to 4 inches. Okay, so I'm going to have 4 inches in the front, 3 inches in the back. The factory lift has 2 inches in the back, 2 inches in the front. And it also comes with beefier upper control arms. The new upper control arms that come with this kit are just so much more beefy than the factory Chevy upper control arms. So I'm about to drop my truck off at my off-road mechanic, and he's going to install this for me. And I want to just show you guys what the kit includes, and I'm going to show you some before and after pictures, videos, and measurements. So hope you enjoy the video. And I do have beefier tires on my truck. I did put 295/70 R18s Nitto Trail Grapplers with 18-inch Method bead grip wheels. So that comes out to like 34.5s by 12s. So those tires are amazing. And I didn't really have to do too much trimming other than just removing the mud flat bracket. So for those of you guys out there that have a factory Silverado Trail Boss and you're not planning to add a lift, you can go up to 34s, even 35s. All you got to do is just remove that mud flat bracket, and you have to be conservative with the offset. I have a 0 offset on my wheels, but I did do a video on how to remove that mud flat bracket. It's literally a 30-minute job, just 3 or 4 bolts, I think, that have to come out, take that bracket out, and it creates like an extra 1 to 2 inches of space behind the wheel well liner. But here's the kit. So these are the rear blocks right here, and what I like about them is they're iron just like the factory, so they look just like the factory lift blocks. Very rugged, they feel very heavy. Okay, iron, not plastic or any other kind of cheap material. Very solid looking. And here are the upper control arms, which are just so much beefier than the factory upper control arms. Look at this. Absolutely insane. Much beefier than the factory ones. So this is a nice upgrade in and of itself. This will make the front end much stronger for off-roading and towing. Even just these upper control arms alone are a big upgrade, but adding the extra 2 inches of lift is going to give me a little bit more clearance. I'm going to stick with the tires I have now because they only have 5,000 miles on them. I'm not planning to go any bigger. When it comes time to replace my tires, I'll probably stick with the same size that I have now. Maybe go to a 35 by 12.5, which would basically just be another 1/2 inch taller and a 1/2 inch wider. Okay, but I chose the 295/70 R18s because they're actually a lot stronger than the 35 by 12.5s. Even though they're just slightly smaller, they can support a lot more weight, so they're stiffer. So that's why I chose them. But this is the kit, and here are the spacers that go on the struts. Here's one spacer. Okay, you can see it's about 1 inch. And then here's the other spacer. Okay, so, and then here's the U-bolts for the new lift blocks. So I'm really excited to see how this turns out. My off-road mechanic is the man. Check him out, Crawlworks in Burnham, Pennsylvania. Crawlworks. He does really great work. If any of you guys are in the Pennsylvania, New Jersey, New York, Maryland area, and you're willing to drive to central Pennsylvania, check out Crawlworks and tell him I sent you. Tell him Greg from NYPrepper sent you. So let me just take some measurements for you. We'll do some before and after measurements and take some videos so we can see how it looks before and after, so stay tuned. Forgot to mention, one of the really nice things about this lift is that it adds another 2 inches of lift, so I go up to 4 inches, but I don't have to change any of the CV axle angles or anything like that. It doesn't require any permanent modifications to my front end or the rear end, and my truck is actually still in the warranty period, so I don't want to install a 6-inch BDS lift or a 9-inch McCoffey's lift that requires cutting and all kinds of stuff. If I have to go in for warranty work, I'm not going to be able to remove that. Versus this kit, if I had some major warranty work, I could just drop this off at the same shop that installed this, and he could just take the spacers off, change out the lift blocks, and basically that's it. You know, yeah, it would cost a couple $100 in labor and it would be a hassle, but if I had to, let's say, get a whole transmission replaced, you know, which costs thousands of dollars, it would be worth it. So that's one reason why I'm going with this kit. It's kind of a easy modification. It doesn't require a huge change to your vehicle. Some people say that it affects the CV angles, and I've seen a lot of different videos on YouTube, a lot of reputable channels saying that they've had this kit for 30,000 plus miles with no issues at all. So the whole thing about the CV angles being changed, I think, is just a bunch of BS. And there were some people saying on the internet that with this kit you can't do four-wheel drive, and that's also a bunch of BS. There are no disclaimers with this SST kit. Now, I don't know about the 4-inch Readylift Silverado standard lift, but for the Trail Boss AT4, the 2-inch SST, there's no restrictions on using four-wheel drive. Basically just use your truck like you normally would. There's no disclaimers really at all. So I think it's a great kit. All the components are very rugged, as you can see. Really nice blocks, the upper control arms, the spacers, everything is really high quality stuff. It's not cheap. I did get a discount on this for Black Friday. I got this kit for just $500, guys. Okay, $500 to add another 2 inches of lift for a total of 4 inches on my truck. Okay, a BDS lift, a 6-inch BDS, would cost me $2,000 to $3,000 in just the parts, plus another $1,000 to $2,000 for install for just 2 inches more. You know, is it worth it? You know, I don't know. I just don't really feel like shelling out that kind of money right now. So that's one of the nice things about this kit, is that it's affordable. It'll raise your Trail Boss just a little bit more so you can comfortably fit 35s and still have plenty of clearance for flexing when you're off-roading. And that's really the big reason I'm putting this lift on, is so I get a little bit more clearance. I'm not planning on going bigger with the tires. Like I said, maybe 35 by 12.5s, but that's basically the same that I have now. But more so I have a little bit more approach angle and departure angle. You know, it's going to raise up the body another 2 inches in the front and the back. So I have a little bit better clearance there. And also a little bit better clearance in the wheel wells if I have to do some extreme flexing. You know, those big tires, they can hit the inside of the wheel well or the body, so this will give me a little bit more clearance. Plus, it'll look cool too, so that's the reason why I went with this kit. Alright guys, so I got the lift installed, and it's definitely taller. I can feel it when I jump into the truck. And I did take some measurements. I'll show you guys the before and after measurements, but up front it looks like about 2 inches to 2¼ inches taller than before, and about 1¼ inches taller in the rear, and still about a 1-inch forward rake. So that's a little bit less of a rake than the factory rake. The factory rake was 2 inches, so the rear was actually 2 inches taller than the front. And with this kit, the rear is just 1 inch taller than the front. But so far, drives good. I had to get an alignment done. I'll probably need another alignment soon. But let me just show you guys this beefy upper control arm here. Check it out. Look at how beefy it is. And a lot of people on the internet say that because of this upper ball joint, you're going to lose a lot of clearance between your sidewall and the upper ball joint compared to the factory upper ball joint. But I didn't really notice much change. As you can see, lots of clearance here. I can fit 2 of my fingers in between, which is basically the same as before. Maybe a 1/4 inch less, but actually really no difference at all. So as you can see, 2 fingers. I'm running a 0 offset method bead grip, and these are 295/70 R18s, which are 34.5s by 12s. So just wanted to let you guys know that with a 0 offset, you'll still have plenty of clearance here between that upper ball joint. Okay, as you can see, 2 fingers comfortably, and I have big fingers, so this is probably like 1.5 inches. I really didn't lose much clearance, to be honest. I didn't notice a big loss in clearance here, like a lot of people were saying that you're going to lose a ton of clearance. I haven't noticed that, so I'll have to do another updated review maybe in a few thousand miles to let you know if I see or hear anything weird, anything unusual. But so far everything was fine on the drive home from the shop, and I got this installed by Crawlworks in Burnham, Pennsylvania. He's very good at what he does. He's a off-road mechanic, off-road shop, specializes in lift kits, suspensions, anything off-road. Check him out, Crawlworks in Burnham, Pennsylvania. He does really good work. But love how beefy this upper control arm is. I have big hands. I mean, this thing is solid, really thick, and a lot more clearance now with this 2 inches of lift up front, which is definitely going to be helpful off-road. And potentially I could go bigger on these tires. And this is what the rear looks like. So it looks really good. Drives smooth, no issues at all. Haven't noticed any weird noises or anything like that. I did take some before and after pictures of the CV angles, and the CV joint angles definitely changed after the lift. I'll show you a before and after. They definitely are a little bit more angled now, but they don't really look too bad at all, in my opinion. I don't see that that's going to be an issue down the line, like a lot of people say. But a lot more clearance here in the rear. I can do a lot more flexing if I need to. If I'm going over some big rocks or something like that, there's a lot more room to flex now, because it's about 1.5 inches to 1 inch taller over here. It's noticeably taller when you jump into the truck, and I think it looks great. To be honest, I think it looks great. And you know, who doesn't want a little bit more clearance? And I think with these 295/70 R18s, just looks perfect. I think this is a perfect tire for this truck. And the reason I went with 295/70 R18s is because of the load rating. These are basically the same size as a 35 by 12.5, maybe slightly smaller, like a 1/2 inch narrower and a 1/2 inch shorter, but they're rated for several hundred more pounds per tire. So the 35 by 12.5 Nittos, I think they're rated to like 3,500 pounds per tire, and these are rated to 4,000 pounds per tire. So not that I'm going to be towing 16,000 pounds with this truck, but basically that means that the rubber is tougher, it's stiffer, it's more resistant to punctures and things like that. So that's why I went with the 295/70 R18s. And I have done a video on fitting these on the factory Trail Boss. No issues with fitting these on the factory Trail Boss. The only thing I had to do was remove my mud flap bracket, which is super easy, just a couple of bolts, and I did do a video on that. It's really easy to do. and I was driving around with these for several thousand miles before this lift, and I didn't have any issues with clearance or going off-road with it. I did a lot of extreme off-roading, never bottomed out, never damaged anything. So you can fit 295/70 R18s on your factory Trail Boss. You just have to remove the mud flap bracket. And I think I'm just going to keep this tire size from now on. I don't see myself going any larger, even though I do have probably about 1.5 inches of space up front. If I wanted to add larger tires, I still have plenty of room here, especially with this bumper here. Look at how much room I have up front. But over here at full lock, I still have probably about 1.5 inches of space from the crash bar. So I could potentially squeeze 37s on this if I wanted to, but you know, then you're going to lose power. You know, the 37s, they're a lot heavier than 34s, 35s. So it's going to increase the rolling mass. I may have to do a re-gear, and you know, for an extra 1.5 to 2 inches, you know, is it really worth it? I don't think so. So I think this is just perfect, guys. I know a lot of people are getting the 6-inch BDS lift with 37s. I think that's a cool combination, but then you're going to lose a little bit of power. You're going to lose some of your towing, because remember, when you go from, you know, 0 or 2 inches of lift, and then you go up to 6 inches of lift, 4 extra inches of lift, that's going to affect your towing. And I do like that this still has a slight forward rake. You can see it. You can see it's slightly raked. I think that's good for anybody that actually wants to use their truck for doing truck stuff and isn't just buying a truck for looks to look cool. Okay, this is a truck that I actually use, even though it's real shiny and pretty now. I went to the car wash, but I go off-roading with this. I go hunting, hiking, you name it. And I actually use the bed. I use the actual truck for truck stuff. And so having a little bit of a rake is good when you're towing stuff or you're loading down the bed. You're not going to be squatted down so much in the back, and you know, it'll be a lot better to drive with a heavy load in the bed or towing a heavy load. But I think it looks great. Got a little bit more clearance now, a little bit better approach angle, departure angle, and I'll show you guys the before and after of the CV axles and the clearance between the fenders and the top of the tires, front and back. But you can definitely see a difference here. So stay tuned for those before and after pics, and hope you guys enjoyed this review. But so far I'm liking it. I'll do an update maybe in a couple thousand miles.